When was the Fourth Republic? The Fourth Republic was from October 27, 1946 to October 4th, 1958. How about the Fifth Republic? When did it start? So we've been in the Fifth Republic since October 4th, 1958. What republic are we currently under, and since when? The Fifth Republic is France's current republican system of government. It was established on 4th October 1958 by Charles de Gaulle under the Constitution of the Fifth Republic. The Fifth Republic emerged from the collapse of the Fourth Republic, replacing the former parliamentary republic with a semi-presidential system that split powers between a president as head of state and a prime minister as head of government. De Gaulle, who was the first French president elected under the Fifth Republic in December 1958, believed in a strong head of state, which he described as embodying l'esprit de la nation. When was the Fifth Republic put in place, and what are its distinguishing characteristics? The organization of public powers under the Fourth Republic was considered by the drafters of the 1958 Constitution to be too favorable to the Parliament, to the detriment of the executive, and considered a source of government instability. The 1958 Constitution introduced four institutional innovations. Firstly, strengthening executive power. Under the Fifth Republic, the President of the Republic acquires autonomy from the assemblies. Its powers have been strengthened, and it shares the initiative for legislation with Parliament and now controls the parliamentary agenda. Secondly, the rationalization of parliamentarism. Procedures limiting and regulating the powers of Parliament have been put in place. The assemblies are required to submit their regulations to the Constitutional Council before their implementation. Thirdly, the creation of the Constitutional Council became, from 1971, a real jurisdiction competent to verify the conformity of laws with constitutional principles. Fourthly, the possibility for the President of the Republic to directly consult the people by referendum for the adoption of certain laws, the ratification of international treaties, and the approval of revisions of the Constitution. Who was Charles de Gaulle? He was appointed President of the Council by René Coty in 1958 to resolve the Algerian crisis. He had a constitution adopted by referendum, establishing the Fifth Republic, of which he was elected president by an electoral college. In a period of strong economic growth, his presidency was marked by the decolonization of Africa, concluded with the independence of Algeria in 1962. He initiated a policy of national independence, illustrated by obtaining the atomic weapon, the Friendship Treaty with Germany, and the development of civil nuclear power. In 1962, after an assassination attempt, he held elections. He was re-elected by universal suffrage against François Mitterrand. In 1967, he supported Quebec sovereignty in Montreal. He eventually resigned following a failed referendum in 1969. What significant event took place in May 1968? So the events of May to June 1968, or more briefly, May 1968, designates a period during which student demonstrations took place in France, as well as general strikes. So nearly 10 million people went on strike during that period, and it saw a 35% increase in minimum wage. So this was the most important social movement of the 20th century in France. Daniel Cohn-Bendit is one of the spokesperson. So he's a Franco-German who obtained French nationality in 2015. He was expelled to Germany by the French government. Who was Georges Pompidou? Prime Minister of Charles de Gaulle from 1962 to 1968, he was elected president against the centrist Alain Poher. He was a former bank director, and he gave a new dynamic to the EEC and had its enlargement adopted by referendum in 1972. He initiated a policy of modernization of the economy and industrialization at the national level, in particular favorable to the automobile industry. He died in power 2 years before the end of his tenure. Who was Valéry Giscard d'Estaing? He was elected against François Mitterrand. He initiated several reforms, such as lowering the civil majority age to 18. He also decriminalized abortion. Confronted with the first two oil crises, he pursued a policy of austerity and faced the division of his majority, which nevertheless won the legislative elections in 1978. He fought against immigration and engaged French troops in Mauritania, Chad, DR Congo, and Central African Republic. He was defeated by François Mitterrand. On July the 5th, 1974, the newly elected president, Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, lowered the majority age to 18 years. 2.4 million French people were affected by this change. So this development actually was a catch-up, for France when compared to its European neighbors who had reformed the age of majority years earlier. Okay. Now, it's important to note that during the Third Republic, the law of June the 21st, 1907, fixed the majority age at 21 years for everyone. What is La Loi Veil and what do you think about it? So it's the law giving the right to abortion and contraception to women. It was prepared and defended by Simone Veil, who was the then Minister of Health under the presidency of Valéry Giscard d'Estaing in 1975. So that's the year when the law was passed. And obviously, your answers during the interview should be in agreement. Who was François Mitterrand? Victorious finally, after his failures in 1965 and 1974, François Mitterrand was elected against Valéry Giscard d'Estaing and became the first left-wing president of the Fifth Republic. The first 2 years of his mandate were marked by social and societal reforms, for instance, abolition of the death penalty, fifth week of paid leave, lowering of the retirement age to 60 years, and the 39-hour week, amongst others. On the economic front, he provided a demand-side policy and carried out nationalization, particularly in the banking sector. He was re-elected in 1988 when he contested against Jacques Chirac. His mandate was marked by the fall of communism in the East and by German reunification. In 1991, he engaged France in the Gulf War. With German Chancellor Helmut Kohl, he improved European cooperation. He is the only president to have completed 2 7-year terms. He is the personality who has held the longest French presidency. He died shortly after leaving the Élysée Palace. In what year was the death penalty abolished? So it was abolished in 1981 under the presidency of François Mitterrand. And the keeper of seals, the garde sceaux, was Monsieur Badinter. Who was Jacques Chirac? Jacques Chirac was elected president of the Republic in 1995 against Lionel Jospin, after 2 failures in 1981 and 1988. He ordered a final nuclear testing campaign in the Tuamotu Islands. In 1996, he suspended military service. After he dissolved the National Assembly, the left won the 1997 legislative elections, which forced him to appoint Lionel Jospin as head of government. In 2000, the presidential 5-year term was approved by referendum. In 2002, he was re-elected against the nationalist Jean-Marie Le Pen. He engaged France in the war in Afghanistan but opposed a new war in Iraq.
What do you want? Me to go back to my plane and go back to France? Is that what you want? Then let them go and let them do. No, that's no problem. No, this is not a method. This is a provocation. That is provocation. It's not a provocation. Please, you stop now.
Elected against Ségolène Royal, he initiated a Europhile foreign policy. He displayed an activism during the global economic crisis, which spread to the whole world in the fall of 2008. Following a constitutional review, he was the first president since Louis Napoleon Bonaparte to speak before Congress of Versailles. In particular, he voted for a reform of universities and pensions. In 2011, he sent French troops to Libya. He is the first president of the Fifth Republic to have only one prime minister during his mandate, François Fillon. Barely beaten in 2012, He sat for a few months on the Constitutional Council, then failed to win the right-wing primary for the 2017 presidential election. He was convicted during the Bismuth affair in 2021, but has since appealed. Elected against Nicolas Sarkozy, he promulgated the law on same-sex marriage. His presidency was especially marked by several attacks of unprecedented magnitude, which prompted him to declare a state of emergency. He was in favor of social liberal economic policy put into practice in particular by the labor law, which aroused strong contestation. Under his mandate, the army intervened in Mali, in Iraq, and in Syria, as well as in the Central African Republic. He participated in the signing of the Paris Climate Agreement. Faced with very strong unpopularity and divisions within the Socialist Party, he gave up running for a second term, a first under the Fifth Republic. What's the name of the current president of France? Elected in 2017 against Marine Le Pen, he became, at 39, the youngest president of the French Republic. His mandate has been marked by terrorist attacks, but he supports an anti-terrorism law and legislation against Islamist separatism. In 2018, he faced the Gilets jaunes movement, which led him to organize major national debates. He was also faced with the COVID-19 pandemic, and he set up loads of national lockdowns and curfews. He also declared a state of health emergency and, instituted a controversial pass sanitaire. How is decentralization applied within a republic? Decentralization is a unitary state planning process that involves transferring administrative powers from the state to local entities or communities that are distinct from it. In territorial decentralization, decentralized authorities are territorial or local authorities, municipalities, departments, regions, authorities with special status, and overseas authorities. The President of France is elected for what period and how? Who can vote? The President is elected for a 5-year term directly by the citizens. The President is elected by direct universal suffrage. Universal means that all French citizens aged 18 and over can vote, whether they reside in France or not. Direct because the votes are directly attributed to the candidate. Potential candidates and potential challengers to Emmanuel Macron during the 2022 presidential elections in France.
Éric Zemmour gagne du terrain dans les sondages. L'éditorialiste progresse. En un mois, il passe de 7 à 13% dans les intentions de vote au premier tour. Le presque candidat rebat les cartes à droite et à l'extrême droite. Au coude à coude avec Xavier Bertrand, il fait chuter Marine Le Pen. La candidate du RN contre-attaque avec un coup de barre à droite et revient en force sur le terrain.
Ça va, madame? Ça va très bien, merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.
Face à la concurrence, retour aux fondamentaux. Jeudi dernier, elle défend la priorité nationale au logement social. Mardi, elle propose un référendum sur l'immigration.
Élue présidente de la République, je présenterai aux Français un référendum où la question sera simple. Approuvez-vous le projet de loi C2I, projet de loi citoyenneté, identité, immigration, qui comprendra un plan complet de maîtrise de l'immigration.
Au total, Marine Le Pen perd 12 points dans les intentions de vote en moins de 4 mois. Une chute amorcée avant même l'émergence d'Éric Zemmour dans la sphère politique. Alors la candidate du RN serait-elle en passe de perdre sa place au second tour?
Marine Le Pen est donnée au second tour de l'élection présidentielle dans tous les sondages, sans exception, depuis maintenant 5 ans. Je crois que ce second tour avec Emmanuel Macron, il aura lieu. Maintenant, pour vous répondre très clairement, il est évident que Éric Zemmour participe effectivement d'une division du camp national.
Éric Zemmour divise l'extrême droite et trace sa route. La semaine dernière, il a croisé celle de Marion Maréchal à Budapest, sur les terres conservatrices de Viktor Orban. Invité au sommet démographique, il a été reçu en tête-à-tête par le président hongrois.
Je suis très honoré de vous voir et je vous remercie de me recevoir. Et j'ai évidemment beaucoup pensé de vous, j'ai beaucoup parlé de vous aussi. Je crois que je suis votre meilleur défenseur à Paris.
Sur scène, ils se font les avocats de la théorie du grand remplacement.
Aujourd'hui, nous sommes pris en étau entre la démographie exubérante islamique qui impose des contre-sociétés dans des quartiers, dans des départements, dans des villes, comme des espèces de concessions, des concessions coloniales au temps de la Chine.
Si la famille française n'est pas soutenue, eh bien, disons-le clairement, il n'est pas exclu que dans 50 ans, 60 ans, la France puisse devenir une république islamique.
Celle qui a pris ses distances avec le RN et qui ne cache pas ses divergences avec sa tante affiche sa proximité avec l'éditorialiste.
Alors écoutez, Éric Zemmour est quelqu'un que je connais bien et que j'apprécie, vous le savez, enfin je veux dire, c'est pas un secret pour personne qu'on se connaît, qu'on se voit, qu'on se fréquente.
Officiellement, Marion Maréchal ne soutient aucun candidat. Cette semaine, pour la première fois, le président s'est adressé à Éric Zemmour. Sans le nommer, Emmanuel Macron lui fait la leçon.
Notre identité ne s'est jamais bâtie sur le rétrécissement, ni à des prénoms, ni à des formes de crispation. La France a toujours écrit sa propre histoire mondiale. Elle s'est toujours pensée universellement.
L'essayiste avance ses pions. L'association Les Amis d'Éric Zemmour collecte les dons, les promesses de parrainage et vient de loin un local dans le 8e arrondissement de Paris.
What is le suffrage universel? The President of France is elected for a 5-year term. Previously, this was 7 years, and directly by the citizens. The President is elected by direct universal suffrage. So universal means that all French citizens aged 18 and over can vote, whether they reside in France or not. What's the name of the headquarters of the presidency? Le Palais d'Élysée. So it's the official residence of the President of the French Republic. Who is the head of the army? The President of France is the head of state and head of executive of France, as well as the Commander-in-Chief of the French Armed Forces. What's the name of the current French Prime Minister? Jean Castex is a French politician and current Prime Minister of France. Jean Castex served for 12 years as mayor of Prades, a small town in southern France, until his appointment as Prime Minister by President Emmanuel Macron. This was following the resignation of Edouard Philippe on July 3, 2020. Jean Castex is a fluent Catalan language speaker, and he is also regarded as a defender of the Catalan identity in southern France. How is the position of Prime Minister of France occupied? The Prime Minister is appointed by the President of France, who is theoretically free to pick whomever he pleases for the post. In practice, because the National Assembly does not have the power to force the resignation of the government by adopting a motion of censure, the choice of Prime Minister must reflect the will of the majority in the Assembly. Where is the office of the Prime Minister? The Hôtel de Matignon is the official residence of the Prime Minister of France. It is located in the 7th arrondissement of Paris, France.
Le Président de la République a nommé Monsieur Jean-Yves Le Drian, ministre de l'Europe et des Affaires étrangères. Madame Barbara Pompili, ministre de la Transition écologique. Monsieur Jean-Michel Blanquer, ministre de l'Éducation nationale, de la jeunesse et des sports. Monsieur Bruno Le Maire, ministre de l'économie, des finances et de la relance. Madame Florence Parly, ministre des Armées. Monsieur Gérald Darmanin, ministre de l'Intérieur. Madame Elisabeth Borne, ministre du Travail, de l'Emploi et de l'Insertion. Monsieur Sébastien Lecornu, ministre des Outre-mer. Madame Jacqueline Gouraud, ministre de la Cohésion des territoires et des relations avec les collectivités territoriales. Monsieur Éric Dupond-Moretti, garde des Sceaux, ministre de la Justice. Madame Roselyne Bachelot, ministre de la Culture. Monsieur Olivier Véran, ministre des Solidarités et de la Santé. Madame Annick Girardin, ministre de la Mer. Madame Frédérique Vidal, ministre de l'Enseignement supérieur, de la Recherche et de l'Innovation. Monsieur Julien Denormandie, ministre de l'Agriculture et de l'Alimentation. Madame Amélie de Montchalin, ministre de la Transformation et de la Fonction publique.
Who is le garde des Sceaux? Éric Dupond-Moretti. He was born on April 20th, 1961. Is a French lawyer and politician who possesses the Italian nationality as well. He's been a criminal lawyer for more than 35 years, and he's renowned for the number of acquittals he has obtained. In July 2020, he was appointed the Garde des Sceaux and, of course, the Minister of Justice in the Jean Castex government under the head or the presidency of Emmanuel Macron. Which ministry handles the relation between the state and different religious institutions? It's the Ministry of Interior. Which ministry helps to apply the law of 1905? It's the Ministry of Interior. Which ministry is responsible for awarding French citizenship? Naturalizations and reinstatements by decision of the public authority, by decree, and declarations of nationality through marriage falls under the responsibility of the Ministry of Interior. So the minister is Gérald Darmanin. Name a few past ministers. Bernard Cazeneuve was born on the 2nd of June 1963. He's a French statesman and member of the Socialist Party. He was Prime Minister from December 6, 2016 to May 15, 2017. So he actually replaced Manuel Valls. He was deputy for the La Manche department between 1997 and 2017. And he was the mayor of Octeville between 1995 and the year 2000, and then mayor of Cherbourg-Octeville between 2001 and 2012. A former minister, Ségolène Royal. She was the Minister of Ecology, Sustainable Development and Energy. A former minister, Christiane Taubira, was born February 2, 1952 in Guyana. Is a French politician, so she was the Garde des Sceaux and Minister of Justice from 2012 to 2016. She defended in Parliament the bill authorizing marriage and adoption for same-sex couples. Another former minister, Emmanuel Macron, was born in December 21, 1977. He has been president of the French Republic since May 14, 2017. On August 26, 2014, he was appointed Minister of the Economy, Industry and Digital in the Valls government. What happens if the president dies or is unable to continue to act as president? Upon the death in office, removal, or resignation of the president, the Senate president takes over as acting president. Alain Poher is the only person to have served in this temporary position and has done so twice. The first time in 1969 after Charles de Gaulle's resignation, and the second time in 1974 after Georges Pompidou's death while in office. In this situation, the President of the Senate becomes acting President of the Republic. They do not become the new President of the Republic as elected and therefore do not have to resign from their position as President of the Senate. What are the three different powers as it relates to the French institutions? The executive power, the legislative power, and the judiciary. What is the executive power? The executive power is shared between the President of the Republic, the head of state, and the government headed by the Prime Minister. The role of the executive branch is to execute laws and court decisions. He directs the police, the military force, the administration, and diplomacy. What is the legislative power? It consists of the Senate and the National Assembly. It votes on laws, on proposals from the government or the members of Parliament. It has the power of control over the executive power. It passes votes on the state budget. What's the judiciary? It's the power entrusted to the judges and the magistrates. Its role is to monitor the application of the law and punish its non-compliance. What's the Parliament? The Parliament is made up of two chambers, the lower house, the National Assembly, the Députés, and the upper chamber, that's the Senate, or the senators. The Parliament holds the legislative power. What's the Assemblée nationale? It is also called the lower house, where the 577 deputies of the National Assembly sit. It holds legislative power with the Senate. Where is the headquarters of the National Assembly? So the Palais Bourbon is the name commonly given to the building that houses the French National Assembly, located in the Quai d'Orsay in the 7th arrondissement of Paris. What's the name of the President of the Assemblée nationale? Richard Ferrand, born on July 1st, 1962, is a French statesman. He's been the President of the Assemblée nationale since September 12, 2018. How many years are the deputies elected for, and how? They are elected for 5 years by direct universal suffrage, so by the people, and uninominal majority over 2 rounds. What is the Senate? It is also called the upper house, where the 348 senators sit. They hold part of the legislative power with the National Assembly. Where is the headquarters of the Senate? Le Palais de Luxembourg, located in the 6th arrondissement of Paris, north of the Jardin du Luxembourg, is the seat of the French Senate. What's the name of the current Senate President? Gérard Larcher is a French statesman. He was President of the Senate between 2008 and 2011, and also is the current President of the Senate. He's been President since 2014. How are the senators elected? So the senators are elected by suffrage universel and direct by 150,000 grand electeurs. So they are elected currently for a 6-year term compared to 9 years previously. What's the name of the President of the Constitutional Council? Laurent Fabius is the current President. The Constitutional Council is a French institution created by the Constitution of the Fifth Republic of October 4, 1958. It decides on the conformity with the Constitution of the laws and certain regulations referred to it. It ensures the regularity of national elections and referendums. It also intervenes in certain circumstances of the parliamentary and public life. Its members are often nicknamed by the media as the Sage. Who are the top 4 people in France? So you've got the president, the prime minister, the president of the Senate, and the president of the National Assembly. What is cohabitation? This is when the president is under an obligation to appoint a prime minister who does not belong to the same political party as him or her. The situation arises when the majority of MPs are not from the same political party as the president. So he must also choose a prime minister from this majority. Examples include Mitterrand and Chirac, or Chirac and Jospin. Do you think voting is important? Yes, using your right to vote is one way to exercise your citizenship. Voting also allows citizens to protect their freedom and make democracy work. Voting is a duty. Voting offers the possibility of choosing your representatives. The right to vote is the result of a long struggle, and so not voting is like giving others the chance to make decisions for us. When are the next elections planned? So the next elections will take place in 2022, starting with the presidential elections. The presidential elections would hold from the 10th of April 2022, the first round, that is. The second round would be from the 24th of April 2022. And the mandate has got a duration of 5 years. We've also got the legislative elections in 2022. So 12th June 2022 for the first round, and the second round 19th June 2022. We've got the European elections in 2024, the municipal elections in 2026, departmental elections in 2028, and the regional elections in 2028 as well. What is the duration of the mandate for the mayor? So the election is held every 6 years, and it's suffrage universel direct. What is the role of the mayor? As the executive agent of the municipality, the mayor is responsible for the execution of the decisions of the municipal council and acts under the latter's supervision. He or she represents the municipality in court, and he also signs important contracts. He prepares budgets. He manages the municipal heritage. He or she exercises powers delegated by the municipal council and must then report to it for necessary actions. So in terms of administrative police, he or she is responsible for maintaining public order defined in the CGCT. What's the Hôtel de Ville? The town hall generally refers to the main town hall of major towns. It is the seat of municipal institutions. What's the name of the mayor of your city? Benoît Arrivé, born in Cherbourg on March 8, 1975, is a political figure from La Manche. He's a banking executive by profession. He's been the mayor of Cherbourg-en-Cotentin since January 2016. He was elected for an initial 6-year term. He has actually been re-elected, and he was re-elected on Sunday, June 28, 2020, after the second round of the municipal elections. Name the representative of the state in your department or your region. So the prefect is the direct representative of the Prime Minister and each minister in the department. He or she implements the government's policies there. The prefect is responsible for public order and security. For example, the new prefect of La Manche is Monsieur Frédéric Périssat. His appointment was validated by the Council of Ministers on Wednesday, November 3, 2021. Mention a female political figure. Simone Veil, born July 13, 1927 and died June 30, 2017 in Paris, is a French magistrate and stateswoman. In 1974, she was appointed Minister of Health by President Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, who charged her with passing the law decriminalizing the use of voluntary termination of pregnancy or abortion, a law which would then be commonly referred to as La Loi Veil. She therefore appears as an icon in the fight against discrimination against women in France. Mention another female political figure. Ségolène Royal was born September 22, 1953 in Senegal, is a senior French civil servant and politician. In 2007, Ségolène Royal was the first French woman to reach the second round of a presidential election, but she was eventually defeated by Nicolas Sarkozy. She picked up 46.94% of all votes cast. Name another female politician. Martine Aubry was born on the 8th of August 1950 in Paris. She is the current mayor of Lille. Another female political figure. Marine Le Pen was elected president of the National Front during its 2011 Congress, succeeding her father, Jean-Marie Le Pen, who led the party since it was founded. She was a candidate during the 2012 presidential election. She came third during the first round. She obtained 17.9% of the votes cast. In 2017, she was a candidate during the presidential election, and she actually qualified for the second round, which she lost eventually to Emmanuel Macron. She obtained 33.9% of all votes cast. Yet another female political figure. Anne Hidalgo was born on the 19th of June 1959 in San Fernando in Spain, is a French politician who also holds Spanish nationality. She's a member of the Parti Socialiste, and she was deputy mayor of Paris between 2001 and 2014 and regional councillor for the Île-de-France between 2004 and 2014. Following the 2014 municipal elections, she became the first female mayor of Paris. She was re-elected following the municipal elections of 2020. Can you mention any recent law which is currently subject for debate in France? So the initial objective of the pension reform was to create a universal system. So it is aimed at ensuring that each euro contributed gives the same rights, so whatever your profession and your status. So it clearly implies a harmonization of the methods of calculating pension rights. So basically the different pension schemes would disappear, and the aim is to have a single system. Another law which is currently the subject for debate is the pass sanitaire. So the current one was in force in November 15, 2021, and it has actually been extended until July 31, 2022. Already, it's compulsory for travelers coming into or leaving France, and since July 21, 2011. So in all areas of culture, sporting events, or places where you've got leisure activities and also fairs and exhibitions that hosts more than 50 people. Okay. Another law which has been the subject for public debate and discussion is the bill which is aimed at combating animal abuse. So from the 1st of January 2024, there's going to be a ban on the sale of puppies and kittens in pet stores. There is also going to be a ban on the display of animals in shop windows. In addition, there would be supervision of the sale of animals online. Another law which has generated interests from the public is the bill against separatism, which contains measures on the neutrality of the public service, so the fight against online hatred and the supervision of family education. It also looks at the control of different associations and also better transparency of religions, how they are financed, and also the fight against virginity certificates, polygamy, or forced marriages.